In this second and concluding series to mark the International Women's Month, Clearview News Desk presents the journey of the Nigerian woman from the colonial era till date.
Women in the colonial era did not enjoy a favorable atmosphere for their social and economic empowerment. The economy, which was mostly export-oriented at the time, did not boost the traditional occupations of Nigerian women. Rather, it undermined it. The emergence of expatriates such as John Holt, Lever Brothers and United African Company firms led to the failure of smaller markets which were previously operated by women. Women were not given access to medium and large-scale loans, which they required for making bulk purchases to enable them function in the economy. Even in the agricultural sector, women were not given access to cash crop incentives, technology, and innovation. These facilities were for men. The deprivation of women was also evident in the educational curriculum, which emphasized religious instruction and clerical skills for boys and domestic science for girls to make them good homemakers rather than empowering them financially. Politically, reports suggest the gender bias evident in Nigeria emanated from colonialism, as the Western cultural idea of colonialism was built around patriarchy and male superiority. The 1922 Clifford Constitution of pre-colonial Nigeria, for example, disenfranchised women, and this led to their subjugation as well as limiting the wealth of adult males. Although issues of gender inequality had been in existence since time immemorial, it was only made worse by colonial rule. But despite the odds, some women played important roles and blazed the trails. For example, women like Mrs. Obasa, who formed the Lagos Women League in 1901. This was a pressure group used to better the sanitary conditions of women and the education of women. Similarly, Mrs. Ransom Kuti founded the Abeokuta Women Union in 1946. This union was used for raising the standard of womanhood by eradicating illiteracy among women. The contributions of women can also be observed in the Aba Women's Riot of 1929 against colonial repression. 50 women were killed, and some narratives were that the women were violent and unlawful, but the women were only fighting to protect their rights. According to reports, colonialism set the tone for creating an inferiority complex for women because the existing media at the time, which was the British Broadcasting Corporation, focused on disseminating information on radio to people and did not give a voice to women. Radio at that time was used for nation building and fostering the struggle for independence by the nationalists. Where information on Nigerians was relayed, it focused on the activities of men and not women. Women had no voice. They were only seen but not heard. The post-colonial era, however, marked the beginning of a new dawn for Nigerian women as they started to play significant roles in the nation's national development. They took up traditional agriculture, largely because of the exodus of able-bodied men who had opted for waged labor. The involvement of Nigerian women in agriculture saw them contributing 70% of Nigeria's food requirements. However, the situation in the public service remained unsatisfactory and far different from what was observable in the pre-colonial and colonial eras. The economic recession of the mid-1980s had a huge impact on education in Nigeria. As a result of the high cost of education, most parents, especially those in the rural areas, sent their boys to school and withdrew their girls from school. In order to check this trend, some state governments made education free for girls up to certain levels. This helped to curtail early marriage and forced marriages. In terms of rights, the legal system, which was inherited from the colonial era, did not favor women empowerment and participation in national development. They had to obtain the permission of their spouses before they could be issued national passports. The legal system did not create room for the empowerment of women politically, socially, and economically. Politically, Nigerian women in the post-1960 politics didn't really fare so well. Despite the fact that women were known to give massive support to political parties, they were not well represented in appointments and policy making. There was, however, considerable improvements in the Second Republic. The military governments which came after President Shehu Shagari's regime did not really do much for women, despite the fact that the First Ladies tried to use their pet projects to advance the rights of women. But despite the odds, women, known for their ever-fighting spirits, have continued to chart new courses. Presently, the lot of women has improved politically as more women are in government. However, this does not in any way signify that the gender gap in politics has been closed. There is still much to be done so that women can occupy executive political positions and contribute to the decision-making process in Nigeria. One of the biggest steps so far to bridge the gap is the signing of the 35% affirmative action for women in politics. Clearview News Desk celebrates the great histories of Nigerian women and bright futures some of them have been able to break through the glass ceiling in their chosen fields. However, to be able to move to the next level of greatness, greater visibility should be given to women in the society, as this will help shape gender realities and change mindsets by fostering the rights of women.